Hi, today we're going to talk about the number one reason that people still have debilitating symptoms of anxiety, depression, and or traumatic stress, post-traumatic stress after years of healing work. And this is a really frustrating place. And often I work with people that have done really advanced healing work and they're still having symptoms of depression, debilitating ones, debilitating symptoms of anxiety and post-traumatic stress. And this is really baffling. This is really frustrating. And I've had the great opportunity of looking into their inner worlds and seeing what's up, what's going on with that, and really helping them really bring it all together. And that's what I want to talk to you about today is what's going on there. And if you haven't started your healing work, I want you to do this, and this will save you being in this place. And you'll be able to do both things at the same time. That all the advanced healing work that you do, when it's combined with this other piece, is really going to be beautiful and helpful and not a source of frustration, despair, hopelessness, and struggle. We do want to do, and really, I am going to talk about this from the place of when you have had a history of complex PTSD. If you have experienced challenges in childhood, this is the most likely reason you're going to have. And usually, the people that come to me with this issue, it's because they had complex PTSD. And a lot of times, if you don't have this going on, you'll go do this advanced healing work and thrive. And it's just wonderful. But if you do, and these other things are not accomplished yet, you're going to do these advanced things and they're not going to load up in your system. They're not going to load into your life. It's not going to look like you've done a lot of advanced healing work because you just don't have the foundation for it. And so this is very specific to complex PTSD, but if you're in this and you don't have this history, this could still be the issue, and it's just a more subtle challenge, and it should resolve very quickly. So also with complex PTSD, this is what we want to be doing. We need to do this, and then all the advanced stuff we're doing is going to just the old stuff that we've done is just going to really show up and start. I talk about loading it because I think about brains as computers, though they're not computers. Computers are really reflective of how our brains work. And but it's like there's all this healing work we've done, but our brain can't put it in yet. It can't load it into our life, into our system, into our way of being. And so there we are with all this great knowledge and wisdom and can't do a thing about our debilitating symptoms. And so that's a really hard place. That's what we're talking about today. So, my name's Rachel McLeod, and I'm a mental health therapist and emotional wellness coach. And I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. I also specialize in complex PTSD recovery. And the brain has a very beautiful process for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress and recovering from complex PTSD. It's native to our brain. However, this brain process, can get stopped, blocked, and impaired. And then we don't get the healing, the wellness, the growth that we could have. And so we're going to see symptoms backing up. We're going to see lots of challenges and challenges that people would expect us to have overcome already. Does that make sense? So that's really a frustrating place to be. It's annoying and it's really discouraging and disheartening. And that's why we want to get this brain process up and running again. So when that happens, then the brain is going to take all those symptoms. What's causing the symptoms? What's causing those symptoms is what brains use to create our health and wellness. And instead of it creating symptoms for us, when this process opens, we're going to watch our brain create health and wellness. And that's pretty phenomenal because then you start looking around like, where are those symptoms? I thought they were going to be here. Nope. Your brain just converted that and processed it and is now using it for health and wellness, maybe even wealth, also wealth creation, and like the brain is designed to do. And so this is a much different process than what we're doing in traditional therapy work. We're working with a much different part of the brain. Some of the advanced strategies that people use really help this part of the brain heal, but they don't know how much support this part does. I'm going to talk about that. Um, I'm adding it to the list. Hold on a second. Um, and When we have a history of complex PTSD, we really want a lot of safety signaling to this part of the brain to unblock this process. We want to work this healing process. We want to just get that thing moving, fired up, and cooking. We want it to just do so much healing work. We want you to be in a position where your brain can resolve these issues for you. And we want that because in childhood, when this was supposed to be built, when your foundation was supposed to be built, uh, you did not get enough support, either because there was traumas, because there were challenges with your parents. You did not get this built in then, and so your brain isn't wired for using your mind body system, the emotions, to create your health and wellness. And so we're going to do it now. And so in childhood, you would have got a lot of this if your parents would have been comforting and rocking and, oh, it looks like you're having a hard time with this. Come on in. A lot other parents have said, that's a stupid question. You need to try to figure it out yourself. You need to figure it out yourself, right? We've got those are strategies of pushing the child away and not bringing them in for that neurological support of connection, comfort, touch, sound, that's soothing, safety signaling. So by the time you get here, you're deficient in these things. We need to resolve that. And we're going to do that. And, but we're going to work with a part of the brain that doesn't use reasoning and thought. We're going to use your body to send these. So lots of the interventions I teach are weird and different, and because we are talking to a different part of the brain. And once that brain gets this signaling communication, it will open up, and that process, it will allow your brain's natural healing process to run and to be available. I've got this little blipping stuff going on. I need to turn that off. Okay. That is the foundation of what we're going to do. But I want to, now that I'm going to weave this in here a little differently now that we're all on the same page with, we need to help the brain very differently. And we want the brain to solve this for you. You are not going to fix this issue, and healers are not going to fix this issue for you. You're going to need to do it yourself. And it is simple. It's simple, but it takes some work, it takes some time and consistency. So here we go. Lots of the people that I will work with who are in this situation have done internal family systems work. They've done cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy. They've been working with therapists for years. They've been doing talk therapies. Other people have worked with healers. They've done chakra clearing and energy balancing and aura work, and that's pretty awesome advanced stuff. They've done DBT, dialectic behavioral therapy. Some people have done EMDR therapy sessions for years, and eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. They've been working affirmations. There are people that have been working on their emotional and mental health and wellness for decades. And then when they're noticing that their symptoms are not resolving and are debilitating and their savings are going down, and this is so challenging because you're actually doing the work and you're not getting the health and wellness back. And this is a place where there's a lot of discouragement, there's a lot of losing hope, there's a lot of thoughts of suicide here, thoughts of giving up, thoughts of unworthiness, feelings of unworthiness. This is where we lose motivation, we lose hope, we start asking some existential questions. This can be a really big place for an existential crisis. And so I really work hard to avoid people getting in this place. And when you're there, we really need to get out of here as quickly as possible. So I don't tolerate this well with clients. When we're here, we're moving. We are moving them out of this spot. And so and the brain responds beautifully here. But let's talk about this more. And it's like in this spot, it's like nothing. It's like though all the work you've done doesn't matter and it doesn't seem to show up, and you're like, but I've practiced this, why can't I do this? Or I know I'm worthy, why can't I just feel like I'm worthy? Or I know I shouldn't have to think this through to this level or question all of my decisions. Why can't I just trust myself? And but you've already done all the work to trust yourself. What's cool about this spot, when I get these clients, when we find out how to support this well, from their brain's perspective, this all of a sudden all their skill sets just start showing up and they start to be able to use them. This is a really fast transformational spot. This is really cool to work with, and there's a lot of hope right here. And what's fun is that it's really great to see your brain start to be able to use the work you did 10 years ago now. Use the work you were working on 3 months ago now. And that's what's going to happen. And so it's not that all your work is wasted. That's what people will say to me. It's like, I've wasted all this time. I've wasted all this work. Actually, no. You're gonna see this stuff show up for you now, and it's loaded. So you just handed me a brain that has all this really cool stuff loaded. We're gonna just have a great time with this. But I understand why it feels like that, because nothing has really worked to make this a permanent infrastructure. Um, uh, and so and these clients are doing, I find to be more, before we start working together, more self-torturous than healing. And they're they're trying to push this healing process, but their processor is not moving well. It's not processing. So they're trying to push a broken process in their brain. They're trying to utilize and activate an impaired process in their brain, and that's creating problems. That's always going to create problems. When we try to do something that our mind body system can't support, we're dividing and fighting ourselves. We're creating more problems for ourselves. And that's one of the things that's happening in here. This is not the number one reason they're having debilitating symptoms. This is a symptom of what's going on within and with the brain, is that they're trying to accomplish something that their system can't support. And so I'm going to say this because it means something, not because this is true, but it would almost be better not to do. You'd probably be healthier if you just stopped doing all healing work whatsoever and just chilled, right? Because rather than bring up a brain process that doesn't work and do the work and try to push this boulder up a hill and it keeps sliding down, up and down and up and down, and that's just I cannot describe the level of pain people are in when they're in this situation, and the self-hatred that begins. You're always trying, you always do this, why don't you just go sit down? And there's just so much internal war and internal conflict, and we really want to stop that. We really want to start aligning and working with the brain. So I'm going to talk a couple more things about what you're going to see here, and then we're going to get to the solution and what this number one reason is. I do all the things backwards. Y'all know I am not very linear here. And I appreciate you hanging with me, because diversity, right? Linear is very nice. But this is not a linear place over here. So, one of the things that we're doing wrong, these clients are doing wrong, is they're trying to work on limiting beliefs. They're like, they hear all this talk, especially if you're trying to accomplish things and you're somebody who's a go-getter, and a lot of these people are, otherwise they wouldn't have gone and got their healing. But they hear that, oh gosh, if you got to get rid of these limiting beliefs and then you'll get there. That's great for people that don't have a history of complex PTSD. You're going to just, if they resolve these limiting beliefs, it's like all of a sudden, it's like their inner world falls and flies forward and things are moving, and it's wonderful. If you've got a history of complex PTSD, this is just, it's going to be helpful, but it's not going to solve the real problem in here. And so the other thing they're doing is affirmations. So affirmations, we do them at the wrong time. When we've got complex PTSD, we have other needs in the inner world than thinking positively and ingraining positive thoughts in here. We have actually quite a bit more work to do before we can get to that phase. And affirmations are fabulous and wonderful at the right time, but if they're not, we're actually pushing and trying to work that brain process that's not working. And then we're going to have more symptoms of pain moving through our system, more pain material, and then also more symptoms of depression are going to show up. And you already know this if you've been trying this. And other people are like, no, keep up the affirmations. Oh, you need affirmations. No, no, you don't. As a matter of fact, I have videos on this. You can watch them on my YouTube channel about the brain functions that occur in affirmations are really powerful. And you need a foundation of processing, and you need your processor to work with you here. If your processor is not working for you, you are bringing pain and suffering upon yourself, and you will watch yourself regress and have setbacks. And I don't want this for you. That can come at another phase in your healing journey. But this is one of the things that people are doing. And then the other thing that people are doing is they're leaving. This is a huge mistake. And I'm going to talk about why, and you're going to get it. You're going to say, Rachel. They're leaving the majority of the healing processing work in the hands of somebody else, a professional. The amount of work you need done in your inner world healing, if you leave that in the hands of somebody else, it's going to be mega expensive. It's too simple to leave into the hands of a professional. I give people tons of homework because this is the work I'm teaching them to do for themselves. And it's so simple. You don't need any skill with it. You just need to do the dang thing. But also the amount that needs done, your brain needs support to walk through its healing process all throughout your day. Nobody can walk with you and do that. And then when you're in the shower, right? This is a good example. And your brain is malfunctioning, is doing overthinking, catastrophic thoughts, those sorts of things. Your brain needs to be corrected and put into a healing state right there so that your brain can process this malfunction that it's doing, all this overwhelm, this overthinking, all that stuff. It needs to be walked through the healing process when it shows up. I'm not coming with you over there in your shower and helping you with this. You cannot pay me enough. Anyway, my brain's entertaining me with thoughts over here. Maybe you too. Same. But your brain needs you. It's designed to need you now. And this really sucks because developmentally, this was your parents' job. And I'm sure had they been healthier or around, some people lost their parents, or some people's parents were in accidents and things like that. They would have loved to do this for you. And they did not for whatever reason, and we need to do it now. It's the care in you. It's the getting your brain to do the right thing all through your life. It's getting the processing up everywhere, not just in a session with a healer, not just in time you're spending with your best friend, not in just those times, but in your actual everyday life. And so I want to say it like this. The number one reason that people still have debilitating symptoms of anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress after years of healing work and even advanced healing work is that they don't have the foundational infrastructure to really apply and integrate and install all the wonderful healing work they've done. There's no foundational place to put it. And this is common with people with complex PTSD, is that we have a bunch of skills. We rock and roll out in the world. We're smart, we're intelligent, we're empathetic, we're compassionate, we're hard workers, we're go-getters, and there's no foundation. And so this is what we're rebuilding. We need to rebuild the foundation. And that's what I'm going to talk about, how to do that here in a second. But that's by and far the number one thing I see. And what's frustrating here is that when you're an adult and you've got all these things, the last thing you want to do is come down to the foundation and do right, left healing dance work. Oh no, but I can dance up here. I can do all these fancy moves, but my foundation isn't set up. I actually don't have any balance. I actually, right. So, yes. So as you get this right, all of a sudden, all these fancy moves you've built are going to be sustained and held well here in your foundation. Now, I'm not just going to leave you with that nebulous idea of building your foundational infrastructure, but because it's not going to matter. You can walk around and say, oh, I need a better foundation. Your brain actually needs to go through the process of creating your foundation and your infrastructure. It needs to go through its process of doing that. You cannot think it into creation. Your brain has to. That's a good part of this. We do want you to think that into creation. That's great. Do that work, but it's not going to matter if your body cannot go through its process of creating that for you. There's wiring that needs to fire and wire in there. There's chemicals that need to shift and rebalance. There's there's electrical communication in your body that has to go off and happen. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on to support an idea of, hey, I want to have a healthy infrastructure. I found my foundational infrastructure to be strong enough to support where I'm going and who I am. So please hear me that this is not just an idea, there's actually work here. And this is the work I'm teaching people to do in my program, Inner World Transformation. It's one of the foundational pieces. I don't say, hey, we're going to build your infrastructure here. We just actually get to this work that is building the infrastructure. It's one of the side effects of this work is that you're building your foundation, your foundational infrastructure. And so if you've got all these symptoms and you've done all this healing work, this is probably the work you need to do. And it might drive you a little nuts because you're like, this is so basic. I had a client today tell me, it sounds so simple. It is. It is very simple. And this is one of the reasons why I am so successful here, because it is simple. It is not hard. And why I like it. It's fun. And you get results so quickly because you didn't need all this stuff up here. It's fun. You do need that, but not right now. But it's already done. And so now that we get your foundation right, your brain's going to say, oh, remember that thing here? And it's wonderful. So nothing is wasted. It's just without this piece, your mind body system cannot create for you lasting, sustainable mental and emotional health and wellness. It can't. We need this part built. So let's talk about this fundamental infrastructure. It is a foundational sense of yourself. You will be surprised at how many people do not have this built in. Myself was one of them. And that they cannot find themselves. They abandon themselves. They can't share their thoughts and their needs. They can't share them in real time. There's just no sense of self. I don't know how I'm feeling. I don't know how I'm thinking. I don't know what this means. I don't know how to express myself. That one, right? There's a lot here, and it happens from complex PTSD so much, is the self has not been wired in because the parents were not available to find the child's self and help the child wire that in. Either they didn't have the skill set, they didn't have they couldn't find their own self. This is often a generational pattern, and it's a thing. Two, the second one is a sense of safety. This is something your mind-body system has to create. You can know you're safe all you want to, but if your body is still sending signals that might have occurred 20 years ago, 5 years ago, that we're not safe, your survival system can't interpret that. I made a video about this just recently. It can't interpret that. It does not understand that, and it thinks you're in danger now. So it actually acts like you're not safe now. So your actual infrastructure has in it, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe. We need that resolved. We need your brain to get in there and resolve that. And that's simple. We're actually going to meet your brain where it's doing that, where it's showing up in your life. And we're going to walk your brain through its healing process, not in its symptom generation process. Hello? Right? Like, get over here, brain. Let's go this way. And your brain wants to. I'm teasing. I'm playing because your brain already wants that path. It just doesn't have the support to get over there. That's why it's so responsive. That's why we can pull you out of a survival state into a processing state so quickly, because that's where your brain wants to go anyway. And now that you're providing it the support it needs, yes. Okay. And then, so we need that in your infrastructure. We need a sense of support. I can't tell you how many brilliant, high functioning individuals will not go any farther in their life because when you look under the hood, of the issue. They just don't feel like they have enough support. This is something that occurred in childhood, and the system is still working on that from that frame of mind. And you're like, I have enough support, we're fine. This is not a logic and reasoning process. This is brain function, and your brain needs to go through its process of understanding that you have enough support now. So I don't want you fighting with your brain anymore. I want you to go help it. It doesn't matter. You cannot explain this to that part of the brain. It does not understand. It does not compute. It does not speak that language. We need to go grab it and provide it the support it needs to go come to its conclusion that we're safe now and we have enough support now. Curiosity, that's part of your infrastructure. We want lots of that. If you're not safe and don't have enough support, you're not going to be curious. So we need to put that in there. Sense of security. This is part of your infrastructure. This is part of your foundation. We need you to have lots of security. If you have wounds in your inner world, your brain's going to be insecure. It's like, don't touch it. Don't touch it. That's what it would happen if there was a break in your arm. You'd be like this. That's a natural brain thing. So we actually need to heal the wound in the arms to get more security. That we're secure, we can let people bump into our arm now. We can move with life. We feel like we're going to be okay. We want your brain to go through its process for creating that. We need orientation. We need your brain to be oriented now in the present, right? We need to be present. Your brain is wherever it is. And if your brain is in the present already, fabulous. There are signs of this. I'm checking for this a lot. Where are you, brain? And a lot of times the brain is in the past or in the present. And it needs to complete its work there to get in the present. It's not doing this because it's rotten or bad. It has its own wisdom and its own way of getting to the present, and we need to walk it through its process of coming to the present. We don't want to fight with your brain. I'm going to say that over and over again. We want to help your brain do what it needs to do to get present. It wants to be present. It's out here in the past or in the future. Because if it can complete the work there, it can get into the present. It knows that, and you can say, no, come back to the present. You can sit here and say, pull it back. It's going back. But if it shows up here in the present itself, it's here. And people tell me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do the past. I don't want to do the present. I just want to be here now. And I love that for you. I'm here to help your brain get what it needs so that it can give you what you want. And your brain has just taken us to the left. So we're going to go here. And I don't typically have to fight with people, one, because they watch my videos, but two, because I'll ask them some questions and they will see their brain take them right where it wants to go. And they don't want to argue with me at that point because they can feel that there's a lot of unprocessed material there and their brain needs some processing support in that spot. And then we need accurate evaluation of self and others. This comes a little later, but this is part of the infrastructure. Your brain has to weave together all this material to create an accurate present sense of perspective and, oh gosh, there's another P word, but I don't know that I'm going to find it. But it needs to be able to perception. It needs to be able to perceive the now as accurately. We need it close. We need it on the bullseye somewhere. And if it gets on point in the middle, that brain has had a lot of processing support, and it has aimed and says, look what I can do. I can do it every time. That's what we're looking for. And we want to see accurate evaluations. That's what I'm up in here, brain's looking around for. And so when the brain starts doing it, it's so exciting. And it will, if it's processing well. If that process is shut down, it can't do it. And we're going to see wonky, wild, inaccurate, even just slightly off assessments and evaluations. How can you succeed if you can't even evaluate things well? These are foundational brain things that people with complex PTSD struggle with. And then we were supposed to do marriage counseling, and we're supposed to do this, and we're supposed to build this business, and we're on what brain foundation? Without the self, without security, without stability, without support, with our brain not being curious at all, and not being oriented and not effectively evaluating? No, absolutely not. So we're going to come in here and work, and then your brain's going to rock the rest of the stuff, especially because you've given it so much material to work with the previous works that you've done. So to do this, what we need lots of processing. So right here, we're trying to find an intervention that supports your brain to shift. out of survival mode into processing. And we need to work that a lot. So this is why I have people do intervention work when with the right intervention for them. Somebody just told me they tried one of my interventions and they were nauseous. They were, I don't know, something, but bad, right? This is not the intervention for you. Done, skip, throw that one out, try the next one, right? And we don't know till we trial, and we don't know how to support each nervous system till we get the right one. And then it's like, here we go. And you can see the processing. You can read that. I want to give you the courage to throw out stuff that doesn't work for you. We need to work with your brain. And when we get the right support, we're going to see all these wonderful things. And so it's worth finding the right intervention for you and get rid of the ones that don't. They're not for you. They can be great for everybody else. Your nervous system, that's not the right support. I think what happened there is, well, I'm not going to get into that right now. Okay, focus. So we need tons of processing. The next thing I see we need is we need lots of work healing relationships with our emotions. This is more complex. And so if we don't have processing, we're not doing this, right? And having the control for that. Next thing we do, we want to work through more complex compounds like beliefs. But we're not going to work on beliefs if we don't have processing. If your brain is not going to process it, we're not doing it. And then we want programming, subconscious programming. We want to overhaul the programming. If you can't do emotion work or belief work, you're not doing programming work. Stay out of there. Let the people that don't have this foundational challenge of complex PTSD do that. But you stay in here and you get your processing up. Now we're moving. You'll watch the next pieces just line up like dominoes. And that's what happens. And then you can go play around with all the healers in the world and all the interventions in the world and have a blast if you want to do that. But right now, it's really time to get your mind-body system connected, supported, and doing the foundational work they can do. And the more time and effort you sink into this, like those 2 hours a day, 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 20 minutes here, 60 minutes there. Sometimes people get in places where they're like, I'm clearing my schedule for 2-hour chunks, and they go off. That's rare, right? But if you can do that, wonderful. But we really just need to provide support, to provide that brain support. And then we're going to see massive shifts and transformations, and we're going to see your brain do them for you. I had a client tell me, gosh, I'm so proud of my brain. I didn't know it could do all of this. Right? So I want you to experience this for yourself. I don't just want to be talking about it. It's worth feeling it, experiencing it, and letting your brain do this work for you. So having said that, I invite you to try out some interventions of mine. I don't hear negative reactions to them often because they work so well with so many people. But if they don't work for you, throw them out. There's more where those came from. I'm sharing my 3 favorites, and that work with about 95%. One of them will work with about 95% of the people who have tried the program. And I teach you how to find those, how it's working. There's signs that you want to see. And then when you have a matching intervention, use it if you want to, taking full responsibility of your health and wellness. And that might be a really great time to start my program, Interventions for Inner World Transformation. That's my next program. That's my 8-week guide. It's a self-study course to providing your brain with this, rebuilding your foundational infrastructure. And then from that place, you're unlimited in what you can do. If you want me to personally walk you through this journey, I also offer coaching programs and packages, and so you can see those on my website. I try to make all the information available there because I want you to be able to figure out if working with me is the best next step for you, and if so, you can apply on my website and I will reach out to you. Okay, so a wonderful connecting, and I wish you the best and so much healing and wellness and love for you and your brain between the both of you. And anyway, your infrastructural team functioning so beautifully together. Take care. Bye.